professional moderated Facebook page in our programming language. Jason?
Alright. So, good afternoon everyone. I hope you're having great lunch, or you had great lunch. So, I am Rick Jason Obrero, and together with my co-author, Dr. Iris Lisitan. Yes, co-author talaga. Kanya galing yung data eh. So, we are here for a presentation of our research topic entitled Automated Sentiment Analysis of Commentaries in an HEP or Healthcare Professional Moderated Page. And we use the R programming language as a tool. So, kaway-kaway po sa mga umattend po ng track 3 kanina. Hello po. So, this is the extension, or this is what we actually did in terms of the research. So, and po, for those who would need to contact me, especially dun sa mga nasa track 3 earlier, so you can reach me at this email address, rgobrero@up.edu.ph. You can also contact me through Twitter at Jason Obrero. Alright. So, first, before proceeding with the actual methodology of what is it about, so let me just have a brief walkthrough of what sentiment analysis is. So, as defined, it is actually referring to the use of natural language processing activities. So, wherein we process, as computer scientists, we tend to process what is the natural language, specifically by those words itself, meaning spoken language. We dig through the syntax, we dig through the grammar, we dig through the semantics of how some things were said in terms of what language was used. So, mapa-English, mapa-Tagalog, mapa-Cebuano. Okay? So, we try to evaluate those. And in terms of this research, so for a brief summary, okay, so we use the Facebook page of Dr. Iris, which is Endocrine Witch. So, like na rin yung page niya na yun sa Facebook. Advertise na yan, Doc. And it's more of gathering the comments of her most commented Facebook post, which is about the polycystic ovary syndrome or polycystic ovary syndrome or PCOS because. And we're going to perform sentiment analysis on such comments. Okay? And from there, we classified whether or not it's positive, negative, or neutral. So, now, whether or not a comment is positive, negative, or neutral, it will depend on the Facebook page moderator, in which, in that case, that was Dr. Tan. So, what's actually the problem here? So, being the page moderator, okay, if you are maintaining a Facebook page, it's really hard to sift through all the comments one by one, especially when you are releasing information that is consumed by the public. So, mahirap gawin, mahirap i-contextualize yung comments ng bawat isa. And for us to do a filtering of all of these posts, it would be somehow difficult, especially when you're trying to read them actually one by one. So, if you are a Facebook page moderator, what you would want to do is to sift everything, try to look at the most meaningful ones, and then try to make a comment or context about it. So, from there, to complicate the situation, recently, Facebook is also innovating, and that innovation is by means of adding comments within comments, okay? Which can actually complicate the situation if you are a programmer. Okay? So, before, we only include comments based on the Facebook post, but when Facebook has innovated, they included comments about the comments themselves. another sign of innovation that Facebook is showing is that recently they have included reactions on certain Facebook posts. So for the side of the public, so you might say it's cool, yeah, it's cool, it's great. We can now make reactions based on Facebook posts. But if you're a computer scientist, that would introduce a whole new level of complexity. So this is actually an improving work, a work in progress, should we say. Okay. So now, this would now promote more context switching. So one person comments, another person comments, and then suddenly it becomes haywire because it's hard now to detect what the context of the original post is. Okay, so there. Now when we switch context within the network, so that would introduce a problem because if you are the Facebook page manager, that would introduce a whole new level of complexity. How are you going to manage replying each and every comment, or how could you reply to some comments, okay, that were being posted in your Facebook page? But again, this study was only done on one post. How much more if you are doing it for all other posts within your page? Okay. Now, what we want to do if you are a Facebook page moderator is that, especially when you are providing special content for the public, is that you would really want to resolve or address those comments in the shortest possible time. Okay. Especially if you are providing, for example, for Dr. Ari, she provides more of endocrinology-related information as released in the public. So, paano natin i-manage yung mga ganong bagay? Okay. Now, for our methods, first is we employ data collection, of course. So, here, we have employed technologies done in the R programming language, so it's an available library. And if you have attended track 3, you will know how to get those Facebook updates or posts. Okay. So, from there, we scoured the endocrine-rich Facebook page and we devised a method for us to find the post with the largest number of comments. And that in turn is the post on PCOS or polycystic ovary syndrome. Okay. And then from there, I have also made an interview with Dr. Iris in terms of what certain set of words would elicit a positive, neutral, or negative response. Okay, so we can tell whether or not a Facebook post or comment is positive, negative, or neutral depending on certain keywords. So I will discuss what those comments are in all. Okay. So second is the data processing. So how do we process this data? So first, for us to have a uniform perspective of how to comments or to illustrate such comments, we have translated it from Filipino or from the Filipino language to English. Okay? For us to have a streamlined version of what we're doing. But there are some limitations to this, as I will discuss later. Okay? Then, we will now get the overall sentiment out of such comments. Now, for the results. Okay, so, ano bang meron? First is, what were those comments that were collected? So, as of 24 March of last year, take note, this is from last year, there were 3,443 comments that were collected and 3,300 unique persons. Latest of the comments as of also last year, these were posted 24 March 2016, and the oldest comment was on August 9, 2015 when the Facebook post was posted. And highest number of likes in terms of the comment was on 9 August as of comment collection date. Now, here are the limitations. First is code switching is prevalent. Okay, so this is really one of the limitations of doing a social media study. Okay. The use of languages. So, code switching within language, say from English to Filipino, nagtataglish tayo, the same as Singlish, the ones that are used in Singapore, this is really prevalent. So, for more social media researchers to advance code switching technologies or the use of natural language processing in addressing code switching should be addressed. So next is, sorry. So there are other comments that are also written in the shorthand. Okay. So the ones that are somehow used in text messaging. Okay. So other concerns is that, for example, to contextualize this situation, for example, Facebook introduces free data in some demographics, okay? And they can also have access to such Facebook pages. And since these can be done conveniently on mobile phones, when they comment on certain comments or kapag po nagko-comment sila, when they comment on posts, it's as if it was like a text message. So that's another limitation. So if you are from a computer science background, then we really need to address these kinds of things. Okay? This in turn would introduce limitations. So because of that, in terms of how does Google address those kinds of words, so to speak, yung shorthand, code switching, how does Google address those kinds of comments? So we really need to pre-process the data first. Okay? And the downside of doing so is that context in terms of the comments when translated directly are being lost. Okay? Nawawala po yung context. So such examples include YR, that's commonly abbreviated for year, Q, yung ko, okay? The Q becomes a ko, so that was actually meant. Another example is kasi, nagiging KC, di ba? So, that's usually a limitation. Okay? Yan, another word, dinadatnan. Okay? So, other people use another word for an actual medical event, say for menstruation. Dinadatnan. Ano pa po ba yung mga other words for that? So, you may imagine, meron, yun, mas malala yun. Kapag meron ka, so, that would easily be translated to something that is different in another context. So, that would be hard. Now, so, some Filipino phrases are also considered. So, hanggang ngayon, for example, if it is translated word per word, so that would be also hard. So, here, shortcuts. Like for example, ireg. For those who experience irregular menstruation, I guess this is common. So, context about that, kasi kapag sa comment specifically, sinabing ireg, it's already understood as irregular menstruation. But for the computer, who does the actual translation, might be difficult, unless context is given. So, lastly, okay. So, those are some issues that we really experience. So, lalo na kapag iba na yung perception ng word, so that also needs to be addressed. So, here we have now the actual processing. So, we use Center, a R package that is for sentiment analysis. And some keywords are also being given to characterize whether, based on these words, they are positive, negative, or neutral. And for example, somehow medyo maliit lang, but you can see here that here we have a set of words, and whether that word is described as positive, negative, or neutral, as well as its strength. Okay? So There are some simple words that are somehow mild, some are strong, depending on the vocabulary of the word. The third thing is that one simple word cannot really establish positivity or negativity. So that's why we also employed a thesaurus for us to list of those words. Okay? Para hindi lang siya exclusive on those words. So we really need to get the synonyms of those words. Okay? So now for the actual results, for the comments, now here's the actual data. Positive has 2,834, negative 607, and 2 were neutral for a total of 3,443 comments as of the date of collection. Now, how to generate? So here's somehow the demographic of the data that were collected. As of April 28 last year, 50,211 page likes, 84% female, majority in 25 to 34 year age bracket, and mostly from the Philippines. Now, yun na nga po, the objective of endocrine which was to really provide reliable information about endocrine disease from a board-certified endocrinologist. Now, what were the comments about? So, positive responses come from people who comment when they ask more information about a topic of interest. Okay. So, when they ask more about polycystic ovary syndrome, that's most likely to be classified as a positive comment. Then, comments become negative responses when the user provides more context about his or her condition. Okay. So if you're already divulging too much information that is really somewhat made to be private with the person, with the doctor, so yun pa yung nangyari, nagiging negative na yung affinity ng comment. And usually, some people nagre-release pa po sila ng mga test results. They actually post the results on the page. So, if that event happens, they usually are hidden right away or they are deleted. And it becomes also negative if masyado ng persistent. Okay. So, minsan nababan, minsan yun na. So, yun. And comments are answered in the simplest way possible for us to reach or for the person to be reached na mas malawak. And here are the buzzwords for everyone's information. So if you really need to ask more information, so those are the positive words as well as their synonyms. Negative words, here are your more keywords. So, consult, sex, menstruation, endorse, prescribe. Lalo na yung mga instances na nagpe-prescribe ng certain medicine. So, yun yung minsan nagtatend to negative words. And for us to get the synonyms, so na-score din natin yung thesaurus for that. And here are the comments as well as their scores. So just for for context. So these are the actual comments. Okay? So that were collected. So for example, PCOS is the first ever in dysmenorrhea. So there's a score related to that. So ask ko lang, ano kasi may drug, may rare din ako na blah blah blah. So those are the actual comments. And the limitations of technology in terms of translating and the natural language processing that really needs to address so that accuracy can be improved. So there are also negative comments. So there are also scores to show that why that comment is perceived to be as negative. So to conclude, so delays, so it can be improved. But there are delays based on the amount of data that is present. Then, Another is that getting posts is different from getting the comments. Mas marami yung comments kaysa lagi dun sa posts that are present. And sheer amount of data, mahirap talagang mag-collect. Lalo na, pwede pang mag-comment, users can still comment right after your collection. Okay? So, there, 24 MB yung file size ng data. And reading comments would be faster, but the context would be lost. And kailangan i-consider na merong false positives and true negatives na lalabas. And it would really depend on the page manager on how to reply on such instances. And ang concern pa po, additional concern is that lack of awareness on the condition could really raise the number of comments. So, the more na nagko-comment yung tao, the more the person probes, the more na nagkakaroon ng additional comments. So, what would be the recommendations? First is the conversion of emojis and emoticons because that really explains reactions. So, if pwede, we can really do that. Next is to transform code switching to appropriate English counterparts. Third, transform shorthanded text para mas magkaroon ng to spelled out counterparts and use a better pre-processing algorithm. And I hope that there is also a better API to translate words because Google Translate API only has a 60-day trial. So, other than that, better sentiment analysis tools are also needed for a better analysis. So, if you have questions, you may contact me on my email and I really hope na meron pang mga researches on health sentiment analysis for us to do. Thank you very much. Good day.
Okay, we go to our next speaker. Will talk about lung cancer-related Twitter activity among patients and healthcare-related professionals. This is a study by Ann Meredith Garcia, Angeline Concepcion, Dr. Tan, and Gracious Fernando, coming from the section of Medical Oncology, Department of Medicine, University of the Philippines, Philippine General Hospital, section of Endocrinology, the Philippines, Philippine General Hospital, as well as from the University of the Philippines College of Medicine, Medical Informatics Unit. Our presenter is Dr. Ann Meredith Garcia.
Good afternoon. So today I will be presenting a study I did with Dr. Concepcion, Dr. Isip Tan, and Dr. Fernando during my senior fellowship here at the PGH. Okay. So nowadays, with the increasing accessibility and advancement of information and communications technology, we know that the internet has become a popular source of information for people from all walks of life. So in particular, even our patients have been resorting to online medical information to answer their healthcare concerns and issues. So a study done by the U.S. National Institutes of Health showed that 63.7% of the online population have actually resorted to the internet for health information at least once in a year. And furthermore, it was found that doctors remain the most highly trusted source of medical information, but still, actually, these patients resorted first to the internet. Okay? So the accessibility of social media, the patient has now shifted a passive consumer of health information to, passive recipient of health information to an active consumer of health information. So in the phenomenon called Health 2.0, we have seen that the rise of social media has further expanded the online health-related behavior of patients to include online support groups, user-generated content, and social networking. And one of the most popular social media platforms is Twitter because it's very easy to use. Recent data showed that actually there are 9,100 tweets made every second around the world. And the widespread use of Twitter and other social media platforms have had a significant impact on the way health information and resources are shared, particularly in chronic diseases like that of cancer. So the National Institutes of Health also said that Twitter is actually transforming the cancer care community by doing the following. So it helps in disseminating the latest information on cancer research. It links patients and other health professionals to oncology professionals. It helps in obtaining information on clinical trials. So actually there are institutions that recruit their patients via social media. And even the patients, like it was seen in the previous example, that they can actually ask doctors questions online. And also there could be in the patient support groups, they can support each other and exchange health information and advice. So actually, as we have seen, social media platforms such as Twitter can be used as healthcare research tool. So since tweets are publicly available, since it's in the privacy policy of Twitter that tweets posted publicly are well for public consumption, so its accessibility, we can see that social interaction and communication among users, especially for us healthcare professionals, we can observe healthcare-related behaviors and trends. And a study done by Wig et al. And Elia showed that there have been 123 Twitter-related medical studies across PubMed, and mostly investigating the use of word use patterns and user-generated content. So another study showed that cancer is actually the most overtweeted disease. So there have been 69 cancer-related social media research studies, 6 studies of which have involved Twitter. So I was able to retrieve 4 of them. So one study investigated the benefit of Twitter in offering psychological support for patients, and about the use of information sharing among cancer patients. And another study showed that the same cancer types are being tracked by both doctors and patients. And another study showed that the highest tweet activity in the cancer community is also among patients. So why did I choose lung cancer? So in the American Society of Clinical Oncology meeting last 2015, so they have actually seen a 4 times greater increase of in lung cancer activity among the participants. So this is not surprising, since lung cancer is it's the leading cause of cancer mortality in the world. So it is third in incidence, but you can see that mortality is actually highest for lung cancer, this red one. So it is a highly relevant public health topic. And Twitter data can give us the following. So we can investigate the following in Twitter data: the type of information shared, purpose of use, and the manner of application. And these data can give us an insight into the attitudes of patients towards health, disease, and treatment. So we can, through this data, we can exploit the advantages of social media in better healthcare promotion to a wider audience. And this will also allow healthcare providers and researchers to tailor their interventions more effectively to their patients. So the objectives of the study, to describe various aspects of Twitter activity related to the hashtag lung cancer among both lung cancer patients and healthcare-related professionals. So this includes physicians, nurses, technicians, therapeutic specialist scientists, researchers, medical administrators, and other technical professionals. And other objectives would be to identify the top concerns based on the tweets, to classify the tweets in terms of content and functionality, and to compare the Twitter activity of lung cancer patients versus healthcare professionals, and to identify the sources of information that were most frequently retweeted. So for the study design, this is a cross-sectional internet-based study involving the analysis of all publicly available tweets containing the hashtag lung cancer posted by both lung cancer patients and healthcare professionals at certain specified time points. So these are the exclusion criteria. So we do know hashtags actually help informing connections in social media. This also is used in the Twitter chats or tweet chats. And this has already been mentioned. So I actually use the website Simpler, the healthcare hashtag project, because it contains the largest database of healthcare-related tweets. So this is a good medium for doing healthcare studies in social media. So for data collection, so a search of all publicly available tweets containing the hashtag lung cancer was done using the website Simpler. So I chose the following dates. August 1, 2014, World Lung Cancer Day. The first and last days of the Lung Cancer Awareness Week of that year. And the Lung Cancer Social Media, or hashtag LCSM anniversary. So the LCSM is a popular lung cancer social media group, especially in the US. And I chose the hashtag lung cancer because when I checked the 4 different dates, it has the top Twitter activity, the blue one. And then I also used 4 different time points because with Twitter, when you select dates that are too close together, there is a tendency for the tweets to be very similar or related, especially because of the retweet feature of Twitter. And then, so this is how we did it. So hashtag lung cancer, so you search for that. And then it will give you related hashtags, and then you click on this. And then you can actually generate a transcript of the tweets that you selected. So here when you click on get transcript, it will give you something like this. So it will give you a list. So we had to go through the list that was collected. And we did a manual check of the Twitter user profile of every tweet to identify which tweets came from lung cancer patients and healthcare professionals. And then we did data analysis. So for data analysis, so we did manual curation and content analysis of the retrieved tweets. We identified the main concerns, and then we independently classified and counter-checked using 2 different schemes. We have dance content categories and SUS functionality categories. So this is dance content categories. So there are six types of tweets based on the, and this is SUS functionality categories. So there is knowledge sharing, community, and action tweets. So we classified all tweets based on the 2 categories. And then for the descriptive statistics, we compared the following for lung cancer patients and healthcare professionals. So the proportions of the specific topics, proportions of the tweet categories, and Twitter activity based on the number of tweets and retweets, and the description of the sources of retweets. For Twitter activity, we compared between lung cancer patients and physicians, physicians versus other healthcare professionals. And since we are talking about cancer, we also wanted to compare the activity of the oncologist versus other physicians. So for the results, we were able to gather 1,443 Twitter users with total of 2,380 tweets. Of these, 22 were lung cancer patients with 79 tweets, and we also collected 184 tweets from 129 healthcare professionals. So for the results, 71% still from North America. So most of the tweets that we gathered from USA, 64% actually, And then for Asia, we are still lagging behind. So only 6%. And we were able to identify 2 Filipino doctors. One is our very own Dr. Gia Sison. And the other one is Dr. Rod Trinidad, an IM physician. And then here. Okay. So for the frequency distribution, so you can see that most tweets were still from physicians, okay? So 37% of tweets were from physicians, and for the Twitter users, 48% were physicians. There is a low number of oncology, so only 18%. However, they still generated a considerable number of tweets. And then for lung cancer patients, they comprise of 15% with 30% of the tweets. So for classification of tweets, so the most common topics still mentioned were cancer advocacy and awareness, death and cancer stigma. So for cancer advocacy and awareness, these were used in online support groups for cancer awareness days, but I think the selection of the cancer awareness months might have contributed to this. And for death, as we have mentioned, it is the leading cause of cancer mortality, so it's not surprising. That's one of the top topics. And for cancer stigma, actually this is something that is unique to lung cancer because a lot of the tweets were about educating people that not all patients with lung cancer are smokers. And then for functionality between lung cancer patients, for dance content categories, most common still is retweet. So 84% of the tweets were passed along and 89% of which were actually retweets. So other categories that were common were conversational and news category. And then for content and functionality, so Twitter was most commonly used for sharing knowledge, especially health information. So others would be asking for health opinion and advocacy. And then for the sources of retweets, it was most commonly the hashtag LCS. Especially this was most retweeted by physicians and also hospital accounts and medical organizations. In particular, for patients, the most common entities that were retweeted were support organizations. And it's a bit sad because only 3% yung sa physicians. So parang we need to be more present in social media. So Twitter is a useful medium for sharing cancer-related information among various stakeholders. Knowledge sharing of health information and promotion of cancer advocacy and awareness were the primary intention of most tweets. Cancer patients, they are able to empower themselves by tweeting information, and healthcare professionals use Twitter for patient care and treatment. So we can see that the tweets that were gathered were actually retweets. So this actually demonstrates how social media can amplify the reach of information. So even if you post just one article, for example, and then it gets retweeted and retweeted, so you can multiply the reach of your post. And this gives the general public a greater role in knowledge translation, which has huge public health implications since, of course, we cannot guarantee the reliability of everything that appears on the internet. So, this the composition, as mentioned. So, disappointingly, only 18% for oncologists, but we would want them to be more visible in the social media scene because this shows that the inputs of cancer experts are much needed. Okay? Since they are the experts, it would be nice if we could get more cancer physicians, more cancer researchers to disseminate health information on social media. to improve the reliability of information. So in other industries, Twitter data are actually being used as a marketing. And we can also use Twitter and other social media platforms to improve healthcare, because the insight into the patient's needs can help us tailor our interventions to the patients and to improve satisfaction as the end goal. So Twitter is a global source of information for everyone. So it is a timely, rapid, low-cost, and wide-reaching tool to disseminate public health information.
From the Filipino language.